The Dover Boys at Pimento University is a Warner Brothers cartoon from 1942. This is directed by Chuck Jones and is written by Ted Pierce, Chuck Couch, Warren Foster, and Roy Williams, with a voice cast including Biba Nadare, Mel Blanc, John McLeish, Ted Pierce, the Sportsman Quartet, and Marjorie Tarleton. And it's actually based on the novels by Arthur M. Winfield, which was apparently a pseudonym for Edward Stratemeyer, and this is the series of books called The Rover Boys. I've never read those books, and they sound rather delightful, but even though I can't say how it compares, you absolutely do not need to have read those books or have any knowledge of those books to be able to enjoy The Dover Boys at Pimento University. Did I enjoy this? I guess so. The narrative is well written. The structure is great, the pacing is great, the animation is the animation is delightful, particularly the character of Dora, the way she moves. I'll talk more about her in a moment, but I feel like after maybe halfway through, the appeal of the rather unique storytelling and the unique characters and the unique movements did kind of wear thin a little bit, not to the point where I'd say I disliked it, but it definitely kind of went on a downward slope for me rather than getting better. We have these three boys who are, well, IMDb describes them as morally upright, which I think is a great way to name them. I love the design of the characters. They all have very different appearances. I think that works really well. And the brothers are going to meet Dora, and they're going to meet her at precisely 3 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock she comes out onto the balcony of her house like a cuckoo clock. She just kind of moves back and forth 3 times, and then as she doesn't walk, she doesn't have, I don't know if she ever had feet. We might have saw her feet at some point, but certainly for a lot of it, her dress is really long. We don't see her legs moving at all. She just kind of glides everywhere, but not in a way that's badly animated. It's the style they were going for, and I found that to be really charming, and I really liked that. I thought that was really, really effective. And unfortunately, there is a villainous character who is trying to get Dora, and he wants to capture her, and it's up to the Dover Boys to try and rescue her. It's a narrative that works really well. I have absolutely no complaints about it. The animation style is really fun. The character designs are great. The colour palette is gorgeous. There's a great variety of colours in this one, which was really delightful to see. As I said, though, from about the halfway point, I didn't time it, but roughly about halfway, I did feel like it was slightly starting to lose its appeal. But again, not to the point where I stopped liking it. Absolutely not the case. I guess the point there is that if we had a lot of these films with all of these characters and this animation style and the movement of the characters, it would probably lose its appeal quite quickly. But because it is a novelty, it does work quite well. Just maybe I lost a tiny bit of interest here and there, but in general, I found it to be quite pleasing. Definitely a very satisfying style. And in general, I had good fun with it. I don't think I loved it enough to now go and try and read some of the Rover Boys, but indeed, if you ever read any, I'd love to know what they're like. Apparently, I'm looking at a picture of the first edition from 1908 of the Rover Boys on the Farm, and it's called the Rover Boys Series for Young Americans, which it does look delightful. It looks very charming, and I'd love to know if anybody's read any of the 30 titles in the series. Certainly, either way, I do recommend The Dover Boys at Pimento University. I thought it was pretty sweet and definitely something that I enjoyed.